Hello, fellow Sindeners or fellow Sinden Lightgunners. Not sure what we're called. We're a growing breed because a lot of us are getting our guns, which is great news. For those that haven't yet, hopefully you'll get yours soon. This video is mainly to discuss AM2 Emulator for Sinden Lightgun and how to fine-tune your calibration. There are some prerequisites for this video. Make sure your Sinden Lightguns are already set up and calibrated with the Sinden Lightgun tool. You can find that out on the wiki. I'll put a link below in the description. Number two, I highly recommend the Sinden bezel packs for AM2 get installed. There's a group of people that are doing great work with getting these bezel packs, and they remove the need to add the white border via the gun. So for this particular tutorial, I highly recommend that you get the Sinden bezel packs installed. And again, the link will be in the description below on how to do that. Number three, the Nebula Sega AM2 Emulator should be installed and you're able to launch a game. If you happen to have two Sinden Lightguns, you'll need to have the mule shooter set up. Titchgamer has some great videos on how to do both of these. I would also like to say a big thank you and shout out to Titchgamer. He's been making lots of great videos on the Sinden Lightguns and how to set them up with various emulators, and also to the Saturn Memories channel. I got the idea on how to fine-tune the adjustments or the calibration from his video. I'll put the link in the description below. So this is kind of like a combination of Titchgamer's video and the Saturn Memories video. Saturn Memories used a mouse with the AM2 emulator, but it's pretty much the same thing, but I'll explain that in a bit. And I just want to say I want to be able to figure this out without their great videos on the topic. And again, all the links for the videos I've referenced will be in the description below. So let me first go over the emulator INI file that I have set up. So basically from the default, all that I have set from the default emulator INI that you get, I just have a custom directory that I point my ROMs to. Just make sure it's pointing to where your ROMs are. And also, let me just highlight all of these here. So this, and also force sync. I don't recall where I saw this, if it was on the Sinden wiki or from one of Titch videos. The force sync, that's just the force VSync. You just get better performance that way, and less screen tearing, I believe. The full screen width and height, that's set to 1920 and 1080 because with the Sinden Lightgun packs for AM2, you can either set it to 720 or 1080. So I chose 1080. I actually am running a 1440 monitor here, but 1080 just works great. So I have that set there. Also, this widescreen window, I believe Titch has it set to, I saw him set it to 1, and the Sinden wiki was set to 0 at the time I saw it. I just experimented with both and I had better results with widescreen window set to 1. I'm not exactly sure the difference here, but I just set that and it's working for me. So let me just go over my Virtual Cop 2 batch file. This is just on my personal machine. It's pointing to the mule shooter for me since I'm using two guns. And this is pointing to my Nebula AM2 Emulator for Virtual Cop 2. And this is working just great. But what I want to do is start from scratch with House of the Dead. This is already, Virtual Cop is already calibrated, so I don't want to mess up with my calibration. So I'm going to basically do the same process where I'm going to combine two different styles of calibration. There's like a easier gun calibration where you just point to two corners of the screen. And then there's a fine tuning, which is using the manual piece. So I created this House of the Dead batch file, and I already added it to my launch box here. Okay, so once you first boot up House of the Dead, for example, you're going to want to hit F2 by default to get to the service menu, F1 to select. You want to go to gun setting by hitting F2 again, and then go to player 1 gun adjustment. Now here is where you want to aim your sights to the center of this grid here. You don't want to aim the floating crosshair to the center of the grid. That's a mistake I was making at first. You want to aim your sights of the gun into the center of the grid. And then one more time, and the bottom right hand corner. Okay. And that's it. But now you see that, so that little fireball, or it's a bullet hole, is it's not lined up with the floating crosshairs, and we're going to want that. So what we can do now is we can make the manual fine-tune adjustments, because if we were to just go into the game, we would be way off in the game when we're shooting enemies. So going to part 2 is manual adjustment. So here's it's a little bit tricky, but what we want to do is when we go through each one of these, we're going to have to line up the crosshair and make the adjustments so the bullet hole gets as close to the crosshair as possible. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute. And it's a little bit tricky because you kind of have to stand back and do this, but you can just try your best. Player 1 start to decrease and player 2 start to increase. And by default, that's 1 and 2 on the keyboard. For this first section, you're going to want to do it on the left hand, and it's clockwise, as you'll see. So let's just get this as close as we can to kind of like, you kind of want that as close as you can to the center. I think that's a pretty good spot right there. Okay, and now we're going to move down. Okay, so here's where we're going to try to get this close. You see how the bullet hole's way off now? So let's just get this. I always forget what they mean by increase and decrease. So this looks like a decrease. I'm sorry, an increase is going to move this down. So, and then I want to get that kind of on a line of crosshairs on the edge here. I think that's pretty good. And let's go down to the next one. So that's going to be this side. You see, this is way off, so we're going to fix that. Okay, that looks good to me. And here is, last but not least, is on the bottom here. Okay. Now you can see it's a little off to the left a little bit, so I'm going to fix that by just continuing with the adjustments here. Up here. That's pretty accurate for me. And here. Looks good to me, and looks good. Looks good. I am very happy with that. So, you want to make sure you save your settings. Go to exit and hit F2 to save. F2 to exit here. And then exit. And that should do it. So let's test it out. And this is like the first time I played this in years, so this will be a little fun. Oh, no. And you want the crosshair on when you're setting everything up, but then I'm probably going to turn up the crosshairs when I'm done here. But yeah, I'm really happy with the accuracy now. Oh, I always miss that guy. And that's how you fine-tune your adjustments. And with the Sinden Lightgun and the AM2 Emulator. Good luck, everyone, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments.